Bruin fans, fall is finally here. That means UCLA football is back in your life. Head out to the Rose Bowl to enjoy America's best tailgating and to make more unforgettable memories with the Bruins. Nico Iamaleava and the Bruins are ready to make an impact this year, and we need you cheering them at the Rose Bowl. Visit UCLABruins.com or call 310-UCLA-WIN to lock in your tickets today. 310-UCLA-WIN.
Good afternoon. We're getting right down to business here, doing it live, doing more at 4 weekday afternoons, live on the air, 790 KBC, streaming live online worldwide at KBC.com. And, of course, the on-demand Mottek On Money podcast, KBC.com, Apple, iTunes, YouTube, all your favorite podcast platforms. Stocks hitting record highs again today. What a week so far here. Investors taking in the latest earnings news and looking to the Federal Reserve to confirm interest rate cuts are on the way. That decision will be announced tomorrow following the Fed's big meeting, and it's widely expected the Fed will be cutting interest rates by another 0.25 percentage point, setting the Fed funds rate down by 0.25 percentage point, which translates to a lower prime lending rate, which impacts business and consumer loans. Today, the Dow popped another 162 points, settling at 47,706. The S&P 500 up 16 at 6,891, and the NASDAQ up 190 points at 23,827. Record highs across the board for all of the major stock market averages. The volatility index in all this, meanwhile, moved higher by 4%. The yield in the 10-year note is back down to 3.98%. Gold pulling back below $4,000 now, down about $26 here at $39.56 and change. We see a Bitcoin giving up a bit today, back to around 113,000. NVIDIA, the magnificent one, at a record high, leading the way higher today, as a matter of fact, among the big tech names, providing a lift to the overall market. The CEO of NVIDIA gave the keynote speech at a big event today. The stock was up about 5% to a record high as Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, said the AI industry has turned a corner while announcing some new partnerships. More earnings news expected from big names, including Alphabet, Google, and Apple. Meta, Amazon, Microsoft will be reporting earnings this week, and we'll see that Apple has drifted higher today and crossing the $4 trillion in market value. That's only been achieved previously by NVIDIA and Microsoft. Microsoft stock moving higher today as well. We're also watching reports from Visa, United Health, UPS, and PayPal coming in today as well. On the trade front, President Trump lavishing praise on the Japanese prime minister today as the U.S. signed deals on rare earths and trade with Japan, along with some other deals. This move prepares the groundwork now for an even bigger meeting between President Trump and China's president on Thursday. On the trade front, the U.S. would roll back some tariffs on China if Beijing cracks down on the export of chemicals that produce fentanyl under a trade framework that the president and Chinese leader are set to discuss on Thursday, according to people familiar with the situation speaking today to the Wall Street Journal. Consumer confidence in the month of October down for the third consecutive month, hitting the lowest level since April when President Trump's tariff announcements sent shockwaves through the markets and the economy. This according to the conference board today. On the job front, we see private payroll processing company ADP said the job market showed signs of bouncing back in October, with the average weekly increase in employment tallying 14,250 over a 4-week period that ended on October 11th. Big week, of course, with that Fed decision and all the earnings, and also new reading on home prices today. This is interesting. According to the S&P Totality Case-Shiller Index, it looks like home prices are starting to ease nationwide, growing just 1.5% in August compared to a year ago. And here in the Los Angeles area, looks like prices down just about 1% month to month and down 0.01% for the year. Some other California cities are also seeing pullbacks. We'll take a closer look at that as well. Big news on the L.A. and California business scene. The Los Angeles County Business Federation, L.A. BizFed, has announced BizFed's founding president, Tracy Hernandez, is leaving BizFed early next year to head up the New California Coalition. She has served as CEO of both BizFed and the New California Coalition for the past couple of years. The awesome Tracy Hernandez will be joining us live later this hour to talk business. And did you see the game last night? It was epic, the longest World Series game in years, ending in the 18th inning last night with the Dodgers scoring a win over the Toronto Blue Jays 6-5. The epic Freddie Freeman walk-off home run on the 18th sealed the win. One of LA's most famous places is turning blue for the World Series, cheering for the Dodgers, and that place, Pink's, is turning blue. Yep, Pink's Hot Dogs. Richard Pink, the owner of Pink's, also a big philanthropist, will be joining us live later this hour to tell us about a special Pink's fundraiser for the LA Dodgers Foundation, the Dodgers' official charity. Richard Pink will be joining us live later this hour. But first, on your money, the markets, the economy. Yep, another record-shattering day for the markets. Joining us live now, Jonathan Hoenig, Fox News contributor, portfolio manager at Capitalist Pig Hedge Fund, and author of the book Price is Primary, How to Profit with Any Asset in Any Market at Any Time. Good afternoon, Jonathan.
Frank, great to be with you. And the triple Qs, the NASDAQ these days, it's almost like a freight train. And as you said, another day and more all-time highs. NVIDIA in particular, almost frighteningly strong, Frank. When you see a company that is multi-trillion dollars in size, up 5, 6, 7% in just a day, it lets you know. I don't know if this is the ninth inning, but I really think we're probably in the seventh or eighth when it comes to AI.
Where do you think NVIDIA goes from here? And have you warmed up to NVIDIA and the rest of the Mag 7?
Well, look, as you said, the Mag 7 has been really Mag 1, but big stocks are almost unrecognizable from where they were in April of this year during the so-called tariff tantrum. So I'd like to think, Frank, that some of President Trump's tariff deals, as you said, jury's still out on China, but some of the trade deals signed with Japan and others, leading some credibility and some knowledge to investors, really been trafficking blind, just in terms of what happened this week in terms of Canada. The premier of Canada was slapped with an extra 10% tariff because President Trump didn't like a trade commercial. So still lots of certainty when it comes to trade, but the AI trade is large and in charge, and that's really what's moving markets higher today.
All right, and as you've noted, we're at a point now where any mention of AI gives companies a significant boost. How long does this have to run?
Well, I mean, you saw very much the same thing, Frank, for Bitcoin for a period of time. Companies would mention they had a Bitcoin strategy and they would get a big boost. Or, dating myself a little bit, you saw it very much in 2000 when any mention of .com, was almost guaranteed a 15 or 20% boost. And ultimately what happened was .com was very popular, but the premium that was given to companies ultimately went away. So I know I'm looking at things, Frank, that are very much off the radar screen. For example, ASEA. This is a fund that owns Asian equities. So you're not going to necessarily find NVIDIA or the Mag 7 in there, but you are going to find companies at much lower valuations with the stocks also doing well. So I'm not fighting the trend, but I'm trying to find those trends that, frankly, my Uber driver isn't already talking about.
Mm-hmm. And that Uber driver is probably talking about NVIDIA, right?
Indeed. And again, nothing against Uber drivers by any means, but there's an old adage that, once the cabbie is talking about a stock necessarily, it doesn't always mean the top is in, but it means the real money has been made. So no disparaging Uber drivers by any means. I know many of them, but oftentimes by the time they know about stocks, it means the real move has already been made.
Well, hopefully you'll get into an Uber here in Los Angeles soon, and hope to see you back in the studio as soon as possible, and want to talk about your latest appearances here. But also, let me ask you about, obviously this is a big week with the earnings parade continuing. Apple, by the way, has joined the earnings parade. We'll be joining the earnings parade tomorrow and has been hitting record highs lately, so we're keeping an eye on that one and the other big names. And then you have the Fed meeting that'll be wrapping up tomorrow with a statement on the economy, a decision on interest rates, and it's widely expected the Fed will be cutting rates by another quarter percentage point tomorrow, and then we'll have a full-blown news conference from Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. Do you expect any surprises in all of that big news tomorrow?
No, bonds have been strong, indicating that we're likely to get lower rates. I don't know if it's going to be 3% lower like the president has necessarily talked about, but certainly a quarter point does seem on the table. And there are some worrisome signs, Frank. I'm happy the market's doing well, but, you have to think of everyday Americans who seem to be piling on more consumer debt and dealing with stubbornly higher prices. I think inflation, and unfortunately to the president's dismay perhaps, is a story that's not going away. I mean, there was a story in the news, AP had it just this last week about candy prices for Halloween up some 40-some% in just the last few years. So many Americans, despite the record stock market, aren't feeling it so much when it comes to their own personal finances. And, Frank, that does worry me. We talk about the economy like it's a spreadsheet, but look, the economy is made up of real Americans, many of whom are struggling. Some 1 in 10 is on food stamps, if you can believe it. So that reality might not be necessarily reflected in the all-time highs for the Dow.
That's an excellent point. And also consumer confidence, the reading we got today, down for the third month in a row, hitting the lowest level since April after the tariff tantrum, I guess that's what we called it back then, which rattled the markets and the economy here. So tomorrow's announcements will be important, certainly. And on the job front, we did see some rays of sunshine here with that ADP report showing signs of bouncing back, but we are watching all of these readings very carefully. All of this as the government shutdown continues. At what point, if any, do you think the government shutdown might start impacting things?
It's fascinating, Frank. I mean, there was a time when talk of a shutdown, and now we're, I believe, at the second longest in U.S. history. There was even talk of a shutdown would send the markets gyrating. But perhaps Wall Street has finally learned, or investors have finally learned, that wealth is created on Wall Street. It's not created in Washington, D.C. Now, I have to say there's something about the way the shutdown has been handled. I mean, it's been a little uneven. You have elements of the armed services, for example, certainly the courts. People are working, not getting paid. Other people are getting paid. So, it's a pretty, what does it say about Congress when you have a shutdown that the government, in effect, keeps working? So that perhaps is for the constitutional scholars. But, Frank, the market's funny. It doesn't bother it until it does. But the fact that so many markets are hitting all-time highs, I mean, my belief is that trends tend to persist. So we very easily could get that so-called melt up that's been talked about for quite some time. I mean, people said the market was overvalued in 95, 96, 97, 98, and then 99 it went up, I believe, something like on the order of 80%. So as the old saying goes, markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. For people who've been betting against this market, they've been betting against a freight train to the moon.
And what about gold, which hit a record high not too long ago, back below 4,000 here now after that big hiccup recently, which sent it back from where it was around 4,400 to right now 39.56 here. And we see Bitcoin well off its all-time high, which got up to around 126 just in the last month or so, and back to 113. What about digital gold and analog gold here?
Well, I tell you, I don't think the move is over in physical gold. GLD, I believe, and of course you want to do your own due diligence, talk with a financial advisor, but the big moves take time. And I think back, Frank, to that move in gold of basically about 2001 to 2013. I think gold was only down 1 year. So you really want to try to play for those big moves. And just like an all-time high, we always say it's usually not the all-time high, it's just an all-time high. I think if you've got the patience with gold, you don't want to make it an all or none, but I think GLD should be part of an overall portfolio. I must say even more, I like platinum. I've mentioned that on your fine program many times, and I still like it. PPLT is the ETF that tracks platinum. Again, do your own due diligence. But I think this one is woefully undervalued, and I could easily see this one up dramatically in the next couple of months.
Yeah, you remember the days when platinum, I think, was double the price of gold back in the day. And looking at platinum here now, it's around $1,560 an ounce. Silver, by the way, at $47.07 after blowing past its previous record high in the last couple of weeks.
And just to give a measure, Frank, I mean, it was earlier this year I was looking at platinum at under 1,000, thinking, gee, could it ever trade 1,000? And it's a third higher in just a couple of months.
Yeah, that is very big news. And what about what's happening with the cryptos? I know you keep an eye on them, and there's some new ETFs this week, and of course, a very pro-crypto administration in place with some additional legislation pending probably before the year is over. Are you paying more attention to crypto nowadays?
Well, I mean, it's hard not to, Frank. And I mean, I have to say, for those of us who've been cautious, we have not been served by that caution because crypto is stuck. In effect, Bitcoin is stuck through a lot of different environments, through environments of interest rates going up and environments of interest rates going down. What bothers me ultimately is the fact that it has no use. It has no physical representation in the real world. It's often said, Frank, that even at the end of the day, some woman will want a piece of gold jewelry, or somebody will want a piece of gold jewelry in their home. And so gold ultimately has a physical use, if nothing else, than jewelry and as a commodity. But what exactly use does Bitcoin have, considering that less than 2% of the people who own it use it as a currency? They use it to speculate. So my woeful prediction is that the move on the way down is going to be just as aggressive on the move on the way up. And if given a choice, I'd probably rather buy real gold rather than digital gold for my money.
On the air live with Jonathan Hoenig. And Jonathan, at this point, any other specific places where you are putting money now and or taking it off the table?
Sure, a couple of completely off the radar screen ideas. The Real. This is a smallcapfashion.com. And Frank, small caps had been at all-time highs just a couple of days ago as well. So REAL is one I like. I also like BBDO. That's a Latin American bank. And Safe Bulkers. Safe is a very not a great word to use in the investment world, Frank. So the stock isn't safe, but the company is called Safe Bulkers, and it's benefiting from higher shipping costs. And a lot of those shippers have finally started to perk up as well. So you know me, I'm always looking a little bit off the radar screen. So Real, BBDO, and SB, all three names that I own over at Capitalist Pig that people should put on their list.
Very interesting. The Real, by the way, also has a brick and mortar presence. I know there's one here in West Hollywood, and I believe there's one in the Bay Area as well as the e-commerce aspect of that. So that's interesting, and it looks like some of the shipping names have been hitting new highs lately. So maybe because of easing tensions in some places around the world, the shippers are more in the clear than before.
Yeah, exactly right, Frank. And these are names that, with respect, you're not going to find in the S&P 500. Part of what's happened in recent years is that the market's doing well. That's great, but a particular portion of the market is doing well. Those big, large names that we all know, the Apples and the Metas and the Nvidias, and it's great that they have done well. But a lot of these smaller names, of which shippers are among, have become a very small part of those indices. So if you own the S&P 500 or you own the triple Qs, you really have an asset that's primarily focused on big cap stocks. So I think money is going to be made in some of these smaller names, SB, Real, even HE. This is an electric utility. People think utilities are boring, but AI, of course, is consuming a hell of a lot of energy. So Hawaiian Electric, never been to Hawaii, but your money could with shares of HE. Do your due diligence, but dividends could pay off with shares of HE.
All right, and prediction markets have become very popular. Jonathan, do you like the Dodgers or the Blue Jays?
I try to stick to my area of competency, Frank, but you have to say, given your knowledge of the history of financial markets, our listeners could be trading 24 hours a day, 7 days a week if they wanted to. I don't think they're going to make the most money, but it's really tremendous to see all these new markets and opportunities for investors, knowledgeable investors, to make money and make money long term.
Very well said, as always. And, of course, you have a great social media presence, and we all follow you here. And did I see you're coming to Los Angeles sometime soon, or at least California?
You will be the first to know. I've been traveling quite a bit. I'm having the opportunity to manage individual clients, Frank. For many years, as you know, I managed a fund, and now I'm starting to work with individual investors who are interested in hedging and alternative assets, maybe something besides the S&P. So it's all at capitalspig.com, and truly appreciate your support, and I'm always honored to be part of your program.
That's great. Well, let me know when you're back in town so we can do something nice for you and maybe have a book signing or something here. And Jonathan, it'd be great to see you back in the studio as well. And thank you so very much for that thorough and always very thoughtful assessment of things here live with us. Thank you very much for joining us on this banner day for the markets here.
My pleasure. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you very much. Jonathan Hoenig, Fox News contributor, portfolio manager at Capitalist Pig Hedge Fund, and author of the book Price is Primary, How to Profit with Any Asset in Any Market at Any Time. Live with us here on Mottek On Money on 790 KBC. The S&P 500 up 16 to a record high, 6,891. And the NASDAQ up 190 points at 23,827. The yield in the 10-year note at 3.98%. The volatility index moving higher today at 4%. Gold moving lower, down $26.50 at $3,956 and change. We see silver also pulling back slightly to $47.07 and platinum at $1,579.50 an ounce. Crude oil futures just above $60 a barrel, up 3 cents now to $60.18 a barrel. Checking the cryptos now, we see a Bitcoin pulling back about 600 at 113,054. Ethereum at 3,986. Solana back to 194, and Doge at the moment at 19 cents. The magnificent one, NVIDIA, at a record high above 200, up $9.54 at 201 and change. Apple up 19 cents at 269. Netflix getting a pop today of nearly $8 at $1,102.50 an ounce, and Microsoft on a roll of nearly 11 at $542 and change. And now the latest news on 790 KBC.
Bruin fans, fall is finally here. That means UCLA football is back in your life. Head out to the Rose Bowl to enjoy America's best tailgating and to make more unforgettable memories with the Bruins. Nico Iamaleava and the Bruins are ready to make an impact this year, and we need you cheering them at the Rose Bowl. Visit UCLABruins.com or call 310-UCLA-WIN to lock in your tickets today. 310-UCLA-WIN.
The United States Soccer Federation presents the U.S. Soccer Podcast.
Searching for an inside look at the people, stories, and passion that fuel the state of soccer in America?
Who's going to be the key man for the U.S. men's national team?
First and foremost, they need to win.
There's something so fun about being the underdog.
You're playing with house money almost.
But what does this success mean for the future of U.S. soccer?
Ooh, you're getting deep now.
This is where soccer will come to life.
The U.S. Soccer Podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Mottek On Money continues here, 790 KABC, a record-shattering day for the stock market, with the Dow closing up 162 points, the S&P 500 up 16, and the NASDAQ 190 points. The market on a roll this week, another day of record highs, this ahead of the big Fed meeting that's going to be wrapping up tomorrow with an announcement from Fed Chairman Jerome Powell on the economy and interest rates and a full-blown news conference. That'll be starting at 11:30 our time tomorrow morning, with the Fed chairman giving one of his last news conferences as Fed chairman. He's slated to be out of a job basically when his term expires in May of next year. We'll also be getting the statement on the economy, and the decision will be announced on short-term interest rates at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, followed by his news conference. And we'll be, of course, prepared to give you full coverage on that tomorrow. It's widely expected the Fed will be cutting short-term interest rates, with the benchmark of Fed funds rate expected to be cut by 0.25 percentage point, and that'll impact the prime lending rate charged by major banks, which impacts consumer as well as business loans. The stock market already cheering the expected rate cut, which especially impacts tech stocks, which are known to be interest rate sensitive. So NVIDIA today hit a record high, up nearly $10 at 201 and change. Apple, which will be reporting earnings tomorrow, has also been on a roll lately, hitting record highs at around 269 here at the moment. Also, we're watching what's happening with the real estate market. We did get a new reading today from Cotality. S&P Cotality used to be known as CoreLogic, still getting used to using the new name, and the Case-Shiller Index, that's what it's commonly known as, the authoritative monthly report on home prices. That came out today, which tracks the 20 biggest cities in the United States, which, of course, includes Los Angeles, which is the second largest city in the United States. And according to that real estate reading, we see prices pulled back slightly, down 0.01% over the past year here in the Los Angeles area. And what an epic year it's been, of course, with the firestorms. On a month-to-month basis, that is from July to August, prices moved lower by 1%, 1.01% to be precise, according to the S&P Cotality Case-Shiller Price Index. In San Diego, looks like prices came down 0.66% over the past year and down 0.7% over the past month. In San Francisco, looks like prices have reversed 1.5% over the past year and down 0.66% month to month. Interestingly, the home building stocks have been on a roll lately, including LA-based KB Home. Let's bring up the closing quote on that one. KB Home stock, company based in Westwood, by the way. Let's see if we can bring up the closing quote on that one. KB Home's shares moving higher today by 71 cents at $63.82. Lennar, another big home builder, which has a presence here as well, not headquartered here, but certainly a building presence, down 51 cents at 128.22. The other big story today impacting the tech world, as you heard on the news, PayPal and OpenAI signing a deal to embed the payments wallet in the ChatGPT, which is increasing in popularity these days. Starting next year, PayPal buyers and sellers will be able to complete transactions through that AI tool. They talked to CNBC today. The PayPal CEO told CNBC the deal means consumer protections for users, including package tracking and dispute resolution. Move makes PayPal an early part of OpenAI's efforts now to broaden ChatGPT's use for e-commerce. This is something new here. The thinking on this, according to CNBC, is that its 700 million plus weekly users can lean on AI to help them find items similar to a human personal shopper. Looks like some of those folks may be out of a job soon. Last month, OpenAI said its users could buy from Shopify and Etsy merchants, and 2 weeks ago it announced an e-commerce deal with Walmart. PayPal now trying to position itself as a payments backbone for the coming era of AI shopping, announcing recent deals with Google and AI firm Perplexity. That the fintech firm, which also released third-quarter results, today issued a release on its OpenAI deal after the CNBC report came out this morning. The company will also manage merchant routing, payment validation, and other behind-the-scenes aspects of payment processing for PayPal sellers on ChatGPT, so individual merchants don't have to sign up with OpenAI. The CEO touted the fact that both consumers and merchants have been verified by the fintech firm, reducing the risk of fraud for either group. Users can pull funds from linked bank accounts or credit cards or stored balances to pay for purchases, and they get protections, package tracking, and dispute resolution. Now you're totally up to date on AI shopping here. Let's see if we can bring up the closing quote on PayPal stock here. It moved higher today, got a pop of $2.77 at $73.02 a share. Amazon also in the plus column today, and now $2.29 and change. And let's see if we can bring up Microsoft, which has seen a pretty good move today, higher by $10.55 at $542.07. Going down the list here of the Mag 7 names, Meta, of course, the parent company of Facebook, has had a big run this year. Meta shares moving up 62 cents at $751.44. Among the crypto-related equities, we said the ETF, IBIT, is the one that a lot of people talk about. IBIT shares pulling back today about 79 cents at $64.49. This has Bitcoin bounced around again today. It was up around 115,000 early on. Now it's around 113,000, down about 600 here at the moment. Let's see if we can bring up the very latest here on how the cryptos are looking here while we have the chance. Right now, we see Bitcoin down about 700, back below 113,000, 112,981 here at the moment. Ethereum is hovering just below 4,000, actually just below 39.90, 39.89 here at the moment. And Solana is at 194. Doge at the moment at 19 cents. Setting up for a big day tomorrow with the stock market hitting record highs ahead of tomorrow's big Fed decision and big tech earnings. And among those earnings, we'll get Apple's news. That comes out usually a half an hour after the closing bell. So looks like it'll be 1:30 for the Apple announcement. This has NVIDIA moved closer to a $5 trillion valuation today. That is big news. Of course, it was big news when it cleared $4 trillion. And looks like Apple also in the $4 trillion camp here now, with its stock at around $269. NVIDIA's CEO has become a familiar face in Washington and delivered a keynote address today, and that helped give NVIDIA's stock a nice boost. Looks like he is deepening his relationship between the world's largest chip maker and the U.S. government. NVIDIA's stock today up $9.54 at $201.03. And now the latest on your ride this afternoon here on 790 KBC.
Hey, Bruin fans, want to go behind the scenes with your favorite teams and athletes? How about getting exclusive merch and opportunities to enter sweepstakes like sideline access at the Rose Bowl? Introducing Blue and Gold Society, UCLA Athletics fan membership program created to support Bruin student athletes. Members receive benefits like exclusive gear, videos featuring insider stories, and incredible experiences courtesy of UCLA Athletics. Sign up today at blueandgoldsociety.com.
The United States Soccer Federation presents the U.S. Soccer Podcast.
Searching for an inside look at the people, stories, and passion that fuel the state of soccer in America?
Who's going to be the key man for the U.S. men's national team?
First and foremost, they need to win.
There's something so fun about being the underdog.
You're playing with house money almost.
But what does this success mean for the future of U.S. soccer?
Ooh, you're getting deep now.
This is where soccer will come to life.
The U.S. Soccer Podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Oh, yeah, and there's another game tonight at Dodger Stadium, Game 4 of the World Series. LA leads the series 2-1 over the Toronto Blue Jays after that epic game last night. Did you see it? The longest World Series game in years ended in the 18th inning last night with the Dodgers scoring a win over the Blue Jays 6-5. The epic Freddie Freeman walk-off home run in the 18th inning sealed that win late last night. One of LA's most famous places is turning blue for the World Series this year, cheering for the Dodgers, and that place is world-famous Pink's Hot Dogs. Pink's is turning blue, and joining us live now is Richard Pink, the owner of Pink's, also a wonderful philanthropist along with his family. And looks like Pink's has a special fundraiser for the LA Dodgers Foundation. Richard Pink, thank you very much for taking the call here this afternoon.
Frank, great to talk to you. What do you think of them Dodgers?
Wow, this is perfect
What
timing
an
for this
evening.
conversation. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Unforgettable.
Pink's has turned Dodger blue from the beginning of the World Series, and we have a special offer. We're selling a Blues hot dog for $8.22. It's a major savings from our normal price, and 100% of the profits are going to the Los Angeles Dodger Foundation. And you may ask, well, how'd you come up with a crazy price like $8.22? Well, 8 represents the number of times the Dodgers have won the World Series, and 22 represents the number of times the Dodgers have been in the World Series. So we're totally Dodger blue. We bleed Dodger blue, as they say.
That is fantastic. Leading the cheers for the Dodgers there at Pink's, which is now turning blue. I drove by there on La Brea at at Melrose over the weekend, so I saw the big sign there, and of course the big line. People are lining up for that special hot dog.
Well, they are. They're lining up at Pink's, and then they go line up at Dodger Stadium because so many people have come in from around the world. I mean, this is economically epic because I have so many Japanese customers that come in. They barely speak English. They're absolutely polite and wonderful. They order their chili dog, and I ask them where they're going. They said, we're going to Dodger Stadium. They at least can say that, and it's just absolutely beautiful to see just how worldwide this World Series is. And I'll tell you, it's holding its own. The Dodgers are absolutely relentless. They fought their way through 18 innings to finally come up with a home run. It was a roller coaster ride. I mean, it was like being at a theme park and, back and forth. And finally, the roller coaster got stuck at the top until somebody could figure out how to get it down. And it was Freddie Freeman hitting that walk-off home run, and he brought it home.
On there live with Richard Pink, whose family owns Pink's Hot Dogs, the iconic place here in Los Angeles. And, of course, Richard Pink, a tireless champion for Los Angeles, as well as for the Dodgers and many other great charities. And, of course, you have a wonderful presence at the Concern Foundation for Cancer Research every year. And Union Rescue Mission appreciated your recent great support for that organization. God bless you and your family. You're amazing. The Dodger Foundation, they do amazing work too, right? Tell us about their foundation.
Well, the foundation helps so many people, everything from youth that, are trying to find a place to play baseball. So they build baseball fields all over the city. On top of that, they help them with their studies. They help people that are homeless. They help people get education. They help people get jobs. I mean, it is a all-in-one charity that is absolutely fabulous, and it's so representative of what the Dodgers are all about, which is all about heart, and they're all about history too. And I have to say that we're so proud. This is the 5th time we have turned Dodger blue. I mean, we turned Dodger blue in 2017, 2018, 20, 24, and now again in 25. And I have to say, we could not be more proud. And somewhere around the middle of the series with the Brewers, I said, get out the blue paint. If we don't have enough, go to the paint store and buy some, because we got to paint all of Pink's blue. All right, getting ready for the series. And I knew they'd beat the Brewers and 4-0, and now they're on their way to beating the Toronto Blue Jays, who have got a lot of heart as well. I have to admire them.
That is so wonderful. And Pink's, of course, at La Brea and Melrose, the iconic location there, and has had a long history since the 1930s, right? And the Dodgers' history goes back a long ways, too. I think I saw a picture of Tommy Lasorda there, and certainly Tom LeBonge, all the people who truly loved L.A. over the years.
Well, the Pink's family started Pink's Hot Dogs in 1939 with a little push cart. That push cart was bought by my parents. They borrowed $50 from my grandmother to buy it, and they set it up on the corner of La Brea and Melrose. And they had no electricity at the site, and they had to go out and buy a 100-yard extension cord, plug it into a friendly neighbor's outlet in order to fire up that cart for, believe it or not, the next 7 years. And it took that long for them to muster enough money to build the little hot dog stand that is sitting there today. And I call it the little hot dog stand because a lot of people say, oh, you're iconic and you're a legend and all that. And I say, no, we're the little hot dog stand that could. That's how I view it. My mother and father started it, and then my wife and my sister and I took it over when my parents got a little too old to really run a busy hot dog stand, and we still got it in the family, and we're so proud to be part of Los Angeles history.
That is so wonderful. In fact, you are iconic and you are legendary, and Pink's is known around the world. And I'm not surprised at all that Japanese tourists and indeed people from all over the world are probably standing in line there right now for the delicious Pink hot dogs. And I noticed when I saw the sign when I drove by there last time, you have hamburgers too.
Well, we do have hamburgers. I mean, what's a hot dog stand without hamburgers? No, it's true. A lot of people don't realize it. And they come in, we got 40 varieties of hot dogs, every kind of topping you can imagine, and, named after famous chefs, like Emeril Lagasse or Giada De Laurentiis, or Martha Stewart came in and wanted a hot dog named after her, and Mario Lopez came in and said, let me have a hot dog named after me, and Shaq O'Neal as well. But also we got 12 varieties of burgers as well, and great fries and great rings. And the point is, it's just this little hot dog stand that takes people back in time. It's a nostalgic period. A lot of people say, my grandfather took me here, and that's where we sat, and I'm sitting there right now, and it's just so great for me to bring in my family and sit where my grandfather took me when I was just 8 years old. There's so much history, so many memories, and so much art associated with our little hot dog stand.
So authentic, so L.A., and again, you're amazing. You and your family are amazing with your philanthropy, and of course, bringing so much joy to so many people over the years. And anything else that you'd like to mention about this great tribute to the Dodgers or for this fundraiser?
Well, I would like to invite everybody to come in and try the Blues Dog. It's topped with mustard, onions, chili, cheese, and bacon. I mean, what's better than that? It's an 9-inch all beef hot dog that snaps when you bite into it. We're famous for that snap. And let's cheer on the Dodgers. I think the more Blues Dogs you win, the greater the chance the Dodgers have to win. That's the way I look at it. Everything's tied together, okay?
Perfect timing.
Right.
Perfect timing, because the game's about to start. We'll let you get to watch the game here. Game 4 of the World Series about to begin. The L.A. Dodgers leading the Blue Jays 2-1 in the series. Richard Pink, thank you very much for joining us live this afternoon.
Frank, it's always a pleasure being with you.
Likewise. Thank you very much, Richard Pink and Gloria Pink. All the best to you and your family at Pink's Hot Dogs with that special fundraiser benefiting the L.A. Dodgers Foundation. Stay tuned now for the 790 KBC News Blitz, and I'll be back with more at 4 tomorrow here on Mottek On Money, 790 KBC.
Bruin fans, fall is finally here. That means UCLA football is back in your life. Head out to the Rose Bowl to enjoy America's best tailgating and to make more unforgettable memories with the Bruins. Nico Iamaleava and the Bruins are ready to make an impact this year, and we need you cheering them at the Rose Bowl. Visit UCLABruins.com or call 310-UCLA-WIN to lock in your tickets today. 310 UCLA WIN.